Welcome to the 2025 Dialogue, a masterclass series by the HR Association of India. I am Neha Jadnani, and today's session explores a theme that often shapes culture quietly yet powerfully. Today's topic is the invisible work of inclusion: what truly changes workplace culture. To help us unpack this deeply relevant and nuanced theme, we are joined by Sumit Agarwal. Sumit is a global DEI advisor to Fortune 500 companies and a sought after keynote speaker, driving inclusive culture transformation. An SDG ambassador for DEI, mentor of change with Niti Aayog, an icon of Election Commission of India, he has delivered 350 plus keynotes worldwide. Known for his innovative use of Lego, serious play, design thinking, and visual facilitation, Sumit turns complex DEI concepts into practical, business relevant action, drawing from both deep expertise and lived experience. Sumit, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you.
Namaskar, Nehaji, and it's always a pleasure to be a part of any of the discussions held in HRAI. HRAI is working towards a better Bharat, and I am happy to contribute in any way that I can.
Thank you so much, Sumit, for your kind words, and I look forward to this exciting masterclass. So, to begin with, I want to know when we talk about the invisible work of inclusion, what everyday actions or decisions often go unnoticed and have the greatest impact on workplace culture?
This is funny, because when I look at inclusion, right, if I look at inclusion at Fortune 500 companies or any other way that we speak about inclusion, especially in India, right, at this stage, we only talk about we have 25% women in our company. We have 30% people with disabilities in our company. We have XYZ. So we speak in terms of percentages and numbers. What I see is identity is being reduced to percentages and numbers. What I also see is person with a disability is if you are including them in your company, it becomes a charity case. And you know, it becomes an award ceremony, right? I've got so many trophies for inclusion. Oh my God. So yeah, this is not what inclusion is supposed to be. What inclusion is supposed to be is why don't we start with listening what people actually want, right? That actually helps a lot of people when you listen, right? You figure out which voices belong in the room, which voices stay in the room, right? When we do Lego Serious Play, when I particularly do Lego Serious Play workshops, what I have seen is this 80-20 ratio in the meeting. What do I mean by 80-20 ratio? 80% of the people are not speaking in the room. 20% of the people are speaking in the room. 80% of the people are saying yes sir, no sir, ठीक है sir, बिल्कुल सही sir. So you're not leaned into the meeting, right? What you are doing is you're just being present physically. So that is not the point. You have to give them permission to speak up. One is that. One is you again have to give them access. You know, a lot of times people are included, but they're not given access to unofficial WhatsApp groups, to unofficial birthday parties, to unofficial, get-togethers in the office. So they don't feel that they belong. One other thing is when you start on the journey of inclusion, there is supposed to be a lot of dissent, right? Because any change brings a lot of dissent, right? How do you deal with dissent? How do you manage dissent? You know, there are a lot of companies where if you speak up, oh my God, Sumit is such a difficult employee to deal with, right? this should not be the case, right? If I'm speaking up, I shouldn't be having a red target on my back, right? Just because I'm able to speak up, right? So that, how do you deal with this? And do you allow, a room for safe discussion, safe, courageous discussion? So when you have dissent, you will also have mistakes. How do you deal with mistakes? Do you just throw people out? Do you just hire them and fire them very quick? So that also becomes an issue because how do you deal with mistakes that actually can make or break your career, right? And the other thing is, again, language, right? When I speak about language, oh my God, you're not the right cultural fit for our team. What do you mean by cultural fit? Do you have a specific set of cultures which is static? As far as I know, culture is supposed to be dynamic. You cannot say that anybody is not the right cultural fit for your team. It's just a wrong choice of language, right? So language really matters when you look at the invisible work of inclusion. Again, the most important factor here is emotional labor because as people with disabilities, as people from the LGBTQ community, as women from the other gender, they are always expected to educate. You know, if I'm a person with a disability, the responsibility falls on me to educate my colleagues. So that becomes a lot of emotional labor. For example, I don't like using a wheelchair. That's my personal choice. But I've seen people constantly insisting me to use a wheelchair. They're like, no, you use it, it'll make your life better. I mean, I am living my life. I know what is supposed to make my life better. If I needed a wheelchair, I'll definitely use one, right? So it constantly falls on us to educate our colleagues, right? So the emotional labor also becomes a very important part of invisible work of inclusion. Right?
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Beautifully put. So it starts with listening what people want, giving permission and access to for people to speak. And then you spoke about dissent and how do you deal with dissent is allowing people to have safe and hard conversations. Also how you deal with the mistakes of people, how you react to people's failure. Using the right language is another important takeaway. And last but not the least, the emotional labor is beautifully put. So thank you so much, Sumit. Moving on to the next question. Why do so many organizations struggle to translate well-intentional DEI policies into lived everyday experiences for employees?
See, I don't think intent can be ever bad, right? Intent is never bad. What is bad is you can't translate policies into culture, right? There's one reason for that is policy is something which is static, right? Once you make a policy, you can't change it
Right.
every day, right? Even if you look at government policies, right, it's there for at least 3 to 5 years, right? Um, so for example, if I take the Mangalore bill right now, Karnataka is passing an act for people with disabilities. For people who do not know, the bill is an extension of Right of People with Disabilities Act, which says that now there's going to be a 5% mandatory quota for private organizations also operating in Bangalore which has more than 20 employees. If you have more than 20 employees, you will have to give 5% reservation to people with disabilities. Now it's a policy, right? That is coming into force, right? It will become an act soon. It's now a bill, right? So I there's a mandate now. Out of 20 people, you have 5% reservation if you have more than 20 people, right? So that is a static policy. It will not change every day. But the culture has to be dynamic, right? I will take you in my organization, but I will not invite you to lunch. I will not invite you to movies. I will, all my venues in the office picnic will be inaccessible. Will you stay in my office or not? Right? So anybody will leave, right? So you'll have to look at culture, not just policies, right? One is that. Second is there's a lot of underplay of formal and informal power, right? When I look at formal power, the policy formalizes certain laws, right? But what is informal power? I have the ability to promote you. I have the ability to make you feel welcomed. I have the ability to give you flexible hours. I have the ability to give you more medical holidays if you need it, right? So there has to be a clear structure on how do you deal with informal power, right? Because if you don't deal with it, people will not stick. Third is there's a lot of fear, right? There's a lot of fear that what if I use the wrong language? What if I call somebody disabled? Or what if I call somebody blind? Will that person take offense? Do I call him a person with low visual impairment, or do I just call him Santosh, or do I just call him, somebody who's visually impaired, somebody who's completely blind, partially blind? There's so many terminology, right? People are afraid to use the wrong terms and offend somebody. So language again becomes a very important thing which escalates fear, right? We as humans, we tend to fear what we don't know, right? That is why so many ghost stories, sci-fi fiction, and all of that. We are drawn to fantasy universes, all of that, right? It's a part of psychology. We tend to fear what we don't know, right? Um, so I think that plays a major role, and the most important thing is ownership, right? Who takes ownership of the DEI policies and the DEI programs that are implemented in a Fortune 500 company? Is it just the HR? Is it just the CEO? Is it a top bottom approach? Is it a bottom top approach? Nobody knows, right? Now, there's a mandate thing. It's everybody's responsibility, right? But if it's everybody's responsibility, doesn't it become nobody's responsibility, right? So if you can't, know who to reach out in case a policy goes wrong, then there's no focal point, right, to fix things.
Right,
So ownership becomes very important.
right. Thank you so much. Just to summarize, you beautifully started by saying intent is never bad, is how you take actions. And cultures very beautifully differentiated, Sumit. Culture and policies are two different things. And formal and informal power, as you rightly said, policies are formal, but it's the informal power that makes the huge difference. Your ability to promote somebody, your ability to make someone, your ability to listen, giving the stage to people is very, very important. Then there is fear of using the right language. Last but not the least, the ownership part. So thank you so much for beautifully putting it. My next question, Sumit, is how can leaders become more aware of their unconscious behavior and micro decisions that can either strengthen or erode inclusion?
See, I have spoken about this a lot of times before also, and I think it starts with humility, right? A lot of CHROs, CEOs, COOs, whatever the C-suite is in the Fortune 500 companies, they're like, we know everything. We have switched around 16 companies. We have worked in BFSI. We have worked in healthcare. retail, automotive, finance, so many sectors we have worked in, we know everything. In the process, as you grow your career, that humility is somewhere lost. Right? Somebody thinks working 70 hours a week is good enough. Somebody thinks working 90 hours a week is good enough. What are you actually working towards, right? That point is lost somewhere, right? So humility is important. Then comes awareness that, okay, now I accept that I don't know everything. Now you find out what you don't know. So awareness is important, right? That awareness has to be there. So what happens when you start becoming aware? You start asking reflective questions. That okay, this is my decision. If this is my decision, who is going to who be affected by this decision? What are the consequences going to be? Who am I missing out on? Right. So that actually gives you the thing to grow, the space
Okay,
to grow.
sure.
And apart from that, you also have to attend an internalized training workshop. ऐसे नहीं होता है कि you just go and see the training workshops and just attend and just get a certificate. I think training workshops should become a part of the culture. It has to be something which is long term, right? If it doesn't get internalized, I think discontinue the training workshops. It does not help you at all. That's one. Um, Apart from that, I think reverse mentoring is very important. It's one of the most important things. You don't know anything about might be possible you don't know anything about disability. I don't know anything about gender diversity. I can learn from you. You can learn from me, right? Just because I am the CHRO or CEO, ऐसा नहीं होता है कि I can't learn from anybody who's at a junior level, right? My lived experience can give you more insights than anything you might have learned out of a textbook or any situation that you might have went through in any company differently, right? So reverse mentoring is also very important to be able to grow.
Sure. Thank you so much. So it starts with humility, finding out what you know and what you don't, internalized training workshops, and reverse mentoring. Thank you so much. My next question, Sumit, is from your experience, what role do difficult conversations play in building an inclusive culture, and why are they so frequently avoided?
You have to know that which conversations are difficult and which conversations are outright not okay to have. Right? This is the only reason why difficult conversations are avoided. And for example, asking me that Sumit, you are not able to walk, how will you be able to go and do client visits? Or why did you choose marketing? Is not the right question. But asking Sumit, we have a work from office policy. Will you be able to come to the office? Is the right question, right? You have to understand those certain line of differences, which constitutes a ethical violation and which constitutes a vulnerability. Vulnerable questions are okay. Ethical transgressions are not okay.
Sure. Thank
So
you.
if you if you question a person's, how will they be? If you question a person's methods to do the job, that is okay. If you question their ability to do the job, I don't think that is okay.
Sure. Sure. I loved how you draw the line between difficult questions and the no-go questions. So you have to draw that fine line and get going with difficult conversations, which are often very important. My last question for today, Sumit, is if organizations had to focus on just one invisible habit or behavior, to meaningfully shift workplace culture? What should that be and why?
I think you should look more at intentional pause, right? Because what I see is XYZ company fires 11,000 people. Tomorrow I see XYZ company hires 8,000 people, right? What is this? Has become a game of Chinese checkers or what? How is this being done? You instantly hired a person, you instantly fired a person. And I think you should slow down your decisions, right? You should reflect at the long term consequences. If you are firing, say, 10,000 people, you are also putting their families into problem, right? Similarly, if you hire somebody very fast, right? Oh my God, I need a marketing manager. My old marketing manager has quit. I had zero succession plan, right? So you might hire somebody who's not having that zeal to work in your domain, and they might be just be there for the money, right? Or the perks, right?
Right.
I don't think somebody's a right or a wrong cultural fit. But what I see is whether the person has the passion to work in that particular domain or not. If I'm just doing it for the money, I might not do it in the long run, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there is intentional pause and basically slowing down decisions. So
Yep.
thank you so much. This brings us to the end of the masterclass, Sumit. Such grounded insights today, and you have reminded us that culture isn't created through framework or policies. It is shaped in moments, behaviors, and choices that actually often go unseen, yet they have the power to change the culture. So thank you so much for your insights today.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.